Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you my friend Diva. She is a voice artist here in Southern California. She does a lot of really cool voice acting projects, a lot of really cool, just like video game, Twitch, life things. And she's going to be sharing with us today what it means to be a voice actor. What does that even mean? How do you do that? So, without further ado, Diva, introduce yourself to us.
I'm
As she's
taking
typing in
notes. I'm
Discord or
taking
something.
notes for myself. I have a note. I have a notepad up, and I'm taking notes for myself. Okay. Things that I just want to make sure I get through. So, hi everyone. My name is Deva Marie, and yes, I am a voice actor in Southern California. My background is stage, musical theater, straight plays, um, and all of that. And I ended up finding voiceover because it was something I had a couple friends who were involved in, and two, I was heavily pursuing film at the time, and I found that voiceover allowed me to act and to do all of these things that I had been trained for and that I was studying and loved doing without having a mental toll. Um, because, Hollywood can be a little discouraging at times as far as what you look like.
Just a little draining.
Just a little bit. But yeah, yeah. So I've been, I I think I can say professional now for quite a couple, quite a few years. It's been a long journey. I'd been really heavily invested for at least 5 years before I booked my first role. Some people, it's a lot shorter of a period of time. Some people, it's a lot longer. But that's just kind of how it worked for me.
And we met actually doing live theater back in the
We
day.
did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back we met. It was Little Women, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how exciting. That was the same show I met my wife. I was on production side. You were one of the March children.
I was Meg.
You were Meg.
I was
That's right.
Meg. Yeah.
Down at Costa Mesa Playhouse, which
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it still exists. They
I
always are almost shutting down. I feel like.
Yeah, I think I think it is existing, but it's like in the purgatory state of existence
Right. I.e.,
where
not using a middle school gymnasium as their
yeah.
storage dressing rooms or
Well,
whatever.
and then, nothing is quite existing right now.
That is true too. That is
Hmm.
accurate. But voice acting obviously is something that during pandemic times
Hmm.
is something that you're able to do. So
Hmm.
I guess kind of playing off of what you were just talking about, you have a background in theater, you have this background kind of pursuing an acting career. How did you kind of make the movement from acting, musical theater, singing over into doing voiceover work? How did that kind of come about?
I really, it's going to sound redundant, but what I did was I just fully invested myself. I was looking into classes. I was finding people who I could look up to kind of in a mentorship sort of way. Um, Really just trying to everything that I was applying myself for theater when I was, looking up for auditions, um, you know, a few times a week, writing them down, scheduling things, taking acting classes, taking dance classes, which they did no help
Totally
for
paid
me.
off.
um, but everything that I was doing, that I was pushing for live theater, I then took all of that and applied that towards voiceover. Um, so, looking at workshops and clinics, reading people's stuff online, listening to other voice actors, listening to things that I would love to do, taking one-on-one coaching, and it was a lot, but I enjoyed it because I'm one of those people that wants to be like a perpetual student. I really love learning and applying the knowledge that I have. And even still during the pandemic, I've taken multiple classes and intensives just because I want to stay sharp. And I think that's important.
Nice. Yeah, it's definitely. I definitely love that idea of being a lifelong learner, and
Mm-hmm.
we try to instill that here. I definitely love learning, and you know I'm always trying to learn something new, trying to keep up on what's going on. But
Mm-hmm.
it's awesome to hear that even after you graduate from college or whatever kind of
Mm-hmm.
post high school world you live in, you're always wanting to build those skills and always wanting to kind of stay up on top.
Yeah.
Because there's
I
always new things coming out,
mhm.
right?
There are. There's staying on top of the trends in voiceover is a big thing. Right now, for example, animation is very natural. It's not a ton of character voices. Of course, there's some, but in general, it's pretty low key and chill. Um, but yeah, I went to college. I got my bachelor's, and I continued to to study even after. Just because it's like any profession, you want to be at the top of your game. You want to be as good as you can be and push yourself. So that's what I've been doing.
So what do you like need to get started? So I mean, I would assume just a computer, a microphone, and headphones. Is that pretty much it? Like, how do you get started? Like, what are the
Ooh.
materials? You know what I mean?
So,
Do you need me to vamp while you think about that?
yeah, no, there's quite a few things. Um, so especially right now, voice actors have had to become their own audio engineers. It's a
Mm.
skill that's interesting. Um,
Oh my
I
god, like
enjoy doing it.
this whole pandemic, man, I've had to turn into an audio engineer for all these virtual choirs and all of this, like
Yeah.
making all these audio tracks. Like it's a lot.
You're like, okay, let me mix this, let me do this. Um, excuse me. So a few things that you have to have is a way to record. So recording software, having what's called nope, that's already what it's called.
A
Your
digital audio
yeah,
workspace,
your
a
yeah, your
DAW.
DAW, your DAW.
They're just learning how to use a DAW in class right now. We're learning how to use
Oh, no
DAWs
way.
actually.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So having that and then having an interface where you can adjust your input, output, your also known as gain, um, how much volume you're getting, and then a good microphone, and having a headset helps too. um, I don't always record with yes, one of those. Which
Scarlett's
ooh, is that a
Focusrite.
Scarlett? That's a really good one.
This
Scarlett's a
one's
good.
so old though. I don't know. It's very very old, but it gets the job done. I've had it like 7 years or something now.
I was thinking about trying to do this chat in my booth, but there's it's such dim lighting that you
What
wouldn't
is
really
a
be able to see
what is a booth, Diva?
anything.
What is that? I know what it is, but they
A
don't know what a booth
booth.
is.
Yeah. So a booth is a recording space. So essentially, what you want, and you can do this in your closet. Honestly, I did that for a long time until I built something better or more professional looking. But it's an area in which sound does not reflect and sound is dampened. So right now I'm in a room that has quite a bit of an echo because there's not a lot of carpets at hardwood floors. But so in my booth, I have it's a enclosed space, so kind of a box, and I have my monitor so I can see what I'm reading. I have a script up here so I can read that. Microphone right here, interface over here, and all along the walls I have foam padding
Mm,
that is this acoustic foam.
yeah.
It looks really cool also, so it's a dual purpose of doing its job and also making me feel neat
I
because it's
remember. I remember. I was telling the students back in the fall we were doing a virtual choir concert,
mm-hmm.
and so they were needing to record themselves singing, and so I was saying,
Ooh,
get me the
yeah.
cleanest audio you can get. And I was telling them, listen guys, if you can't find a quiet place in your house, go in your closet like with all the
Yes,
coats, just take your phone and sing.
yes.
And they kept looking at me like I was bananas, like I was
Mm.
insane. But no, it is all those coats, and it
Mm-hmm.
sucks up the sound really well.
No, I've done auditions when I've been if I'm there was a couple times when I've been out of the country and I would get auditions, and I would take a blanket in whatever place I'm staying, if I'm, at a hotel, and I would take the biggest blanket and I would throw it over myself, and then I would angle my laptop and just angle everything and be right here, just trying to, I don't know what that was, but
Beautiful improv. Beautiful improv. Well, let's hear some audio samples. Should I
sure.
share out your website and we can listen to some things?
Yeah, if you'd like to, absolutely. It's just my name, devamarie.com.
Does it look like this?
It does look like that. And I actually had I had a friend of mine make this image of me
Aw.
for my website. I had that kind of idea.
Oh my gosh. LA Times says an abundance of heart and spirit. No, there's a quote.
That low key was for my performance as Meg. But I'm like, you know what? It sounds good. I'm gonna throw it on there because it's about me anyway. So
Wait, did they make it? The LA Times reviewed our.
Yeah.
Did they really?
They really did. I used to have a review section on my website, and then it felt too weird to have, so I pulled it off. But
Oh my gosh, I'm
I
gonna
have it
to look
saved
that up.
somewhere. Yeah. They thought we were cute.
I used to like clip digitally all of any like review I would get. I used to have them all.
Yep.
And I just then you reach a time where you're like, eh.
Mm-hmm.
If they're great, they'll come to me.
Yeah.
All right. So some voiceover stuff. What can you tell us about what we're about to hear? What should we play? What do you want to share?
Sure. So, sorry, apologies if you hear a door opening and closing. It's just my husband. So this is my voiceover page. A lot of what you're going to hear, I actually recorded and mixed myself. Other things I've had professionally recorded, but as with, if you're auditioning for a musical or a play, you're going to want to have material, your 30 bars, your monologue that's appropriate to the thing you're auditioning for, right? So if you're auditioning for something that's, a pop rock, you're not going to want to come in with a golden age 30 bars, right?
Right.
So similarly, with voiceover, you want to be able to showcase different qualities that you have for different mediums. So currently I have one for video games, also known as interactive, one for animation, which is, cartoons, singing, because I want people to know that I can sing as a character, and then commercials, which are selling you stuff.
Selling you stuff. So let's look at some of these demo reels. Do they call them demo reels in voice acting world?
Yeah, demos.
Demos. So
Demos.
let's kind of listen to a little bit of video game, and if you get super embarrassed, just tell me to stop.
Oh, I'm always embarrassed.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, here we go.
Okay.
I was not aware that my speech differed so greatly from my companions. Do I really sound so formal to you?
The name's Kasumi, bounty hunter. My motto? Get in, get out, get paid.
Excuse me.
If anyone ever hears this, my name is Elizabeth Morrison. It's just me now. I'm the last one from Project Eden.
Hey, we're taking fire! I need reinforcements! I repeat, I need reinforcements now!
I could do this with my eyes closed. Oh, but don't worry, I won't.
Let me tell you a secret. When a woman's mind is made up, there is no stopping her.
Shush,
Had nothing for us, and so my people came west. Along the way, we found the city that launched our quest.
The ruins are on the way to Zenlon. I'm happy to take you there. Dolly and Dot are great company, but it's nice to have friends to talk to. We're friends, right?
I suggest you heal like the dog you are. You know what I say? If you're always on time, you ain't got nothing better to be doing.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing because
Littering in the
gosh.
ocean.
Stop playing. I'm not laughing because
Oh, yeah,
it's
they
like
autoplay.
that. I just love it. It sounds
thanks.
so good. It sounds so good. What did you guys think? Write in the chat. What did you guys think of the video game demo reel?
Oh, thank And some of those you might have, if you've played, some of those are pulled from actual game footage. I have Flame from Fire Emblem Three Houses at the beginning. Um, and then I have a card from Hearthstone, which is the creature.
Little Murloc.
Little Murloc. I have uh, two characters from WoW, World of Warcraft in there. Addie Fizzlebog, who is a gnome hunter, and then Mira, who's a little Volpera, kind of like a little fox person. Um, so yeah, so trying to show range in video games, how video games aren't just always combat. It's not always just Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed. You have things that are aimed for children. There's Japanese RPGs, all sorts of things. So trying to throw all of that in to give people an idea of what I can do.
So with that in mind, I mean, we obviously just heard this huge range of different voices. How do you approach creating a character? Like, what goes into your mind to change your voice into these different ways?
It's similar to the same way that I approach a character in a show, where what you get when you have an audition script for a voiceover is what's called a breakdown. And you'll get that if you're auditioning for a stage or anything as well. You'll have a little blip about the character. Hopefully, if you're lucky enough, you'll see some character art. It may be final, it may be something that's still being worked on, but often you're given a couple sentences. Key information that I always look for is I want to see how old they are. I want to see what species they are. Sometimes it's not human. Um, and if there's character art, I want to look at how they look physically. If it's a person who is more heavy set, I want to add a little bit of weight to my voice, a little rounder. Or if it's someone that's, maybe like an elongated nose, probably someone that's a little more kind of nosy. So really looking at those things, and then any keywords that jump out at me, whether it's about the character or about the world that this is, if they are, who are they? Are they a leader? Are they a follower? Where do they fit in? And then I will ask myself a couple things that are not on the breakdown or the audition script, and that is, what is this person's biggest dream? What is their biggest fear? And I want to be able to insert those to really make this person three-dimensional. And I do a similar thing when I'm doing stage work. So yeah, like this morning, right before this, I actually had an audition, and I was in my booth recording, and I was looking at it, and I kind of circled a few words about the character. This person spoke very stiff and dry and formal, so I wanted to keep any California slurs out. I wanted to be really staccato, and yeah. So I'll do that, and I also try not to overthink it, because that's all of our worst enemy is overthinking things. So I will go in, do a little bit. If I don't like, and sometimes you don't like what you produce. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I nailed that. And other times, like, you know what? I did a thing. It's done.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So with some of those things in mind, I mean, I would imagine that being a voice actor has its challenges. What would you say some of those challenges are, being in this industry?
Oof. There's quite a few. Some are more practical challenges, and some are more mental and emotional challenges. So I'll kind of go through those because they're all important. One of the biggest challenges for me personally, and also I feel for a lot of people, is that there's this idea that a lot of people have that all voiceover actors are very successful, that you've done one thing and you're going to continue to book. And like any craft, that's not always the case. For me personally, I may do 100 auditions and get one of them. So it's a lot of patience, It's a lot of recognizing that you may be a brilliant actor and know your stuff, but how you interpreted the character, or maybe even just where your voice sits, isn't how other people perceived it. So it's really out of your hands. There's a lot of letting things go, and knowing that there's going to be times when you don't have as much work and times when you will have a lot more. Uh, the other biggest lesson for me that I wish I had learned when I was younger is that other actors are not your competition. You are your competition, and that is huge because, like,
Yeah.
I'll go out for a musical or something, and I know everyone here does the same. I know you do the same thing where you go and you kind of just feel everyone out in the room. You're like, okay, I think that person could do that part. That person, okay, this, and trying to see where you are on the ladder. And that is detrimental to you, I feel, because you are automatically looking at other people rather instead of kinsmen. You're looking at them as essentially the enemy, that those people are competition, and so therefore you don't want them to succeed. No,
Right.
when another voice actor succeeds, you succeed because it's putting more art into the world, it's putting more good out there. So I think that's big a big hurdle. Some other things that are very difficult are getting used to acting without anyone opposite you. Um, if you're doing a good example of this was I recorded a season of a show on Netflix during during the pandemic. I was in the studio for one session, and then the rest of it was done at home. Uh, and I had the script, but I didn't have everyone else's lines. So I only had what I could say. So it's not like you're when you do a scene where you have someone else to work off of. So being able to bring all of that yourself is really important. Um, so yeah, understanding that rejection is part of it. That's a difficulty. Also, right now, it can be hard because we're all isolated, and so everything is magnified. If you feel you're not doing good, it feels like you're really not doing good. Um, and then as far as practical or more less emotional and more uh, help me with words, please.
More practical?
Yeah,
Which way?
I was trying to think of another word, but yes, the more practical things. That I had to unlearn this is diction is not your friend. It's
Yeah.
it's so
Okay, so that's interesting.
it's
Because I
hard.
actually I do
It's
want you to
hard.
talk about that because
Yeah.
like musical theater, choir, like
Mhm.
singing diction, stage diction, how is that different from say microphone diction? And by the way, for those of you who don't know what we mean by diction, this is you enunciate the words. You put the T's very tough. What's the difference?
It it is hard. Especially just I cannot tell you how many times I've been in a show and the director says, "Diva, I need you to enunciate." Like, okay, I thought I was. Um, so the microphone picks up everything. So it picks up all sounds. It'll pick up sounds in that your mouth creates that normally we're not cognizant of. So any pops, any clicks, any saliva, all of that really fun stuff.
An immediate ASMR channel.
Ugh. Hi, my name is Diva, and I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it picks up all of these things, as well as anytime you have a T or a D or a P or S's are a big one. It takes those and it almost magnifies them. So sometimes if you see, and I can take a picture of this and send it to you later if everyone wants to see, you can see in the waveform, which is the pattern that your voice makes when you speak. So it's like a swiggle. And you can see sometimes when you have a consonant that pops too much that it'll just kind of explode and it'll be this big thing, and you don't want that. So something that's helpful with microphones, I don't have one down here because this is where I play some video games, is there's something called a pop filter, which is essentially just the microphone like this, and it just goes right here so that it helps break up some of the consonants that you have.
If I have one.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
have one.
But again, just like with oh yeah, that's a pop filter.
One of these guys. It breaks up the air and the sound before it hits the microphone. So you just put it in front of your microphone. Pa-pa-ta. So it doesn't...
Ha-pa-ta.
Ha-pa-ta.
Ha-pa-pa.
So it just doesn't hit so hard.
It's one of those, and I actually have a tiny little like sneaky sneak that I do. Is if I did a take that I really loved, and a take is a bit of dialogue that I recorded that I really like. I'll call that a take. And if I find one that I really like before I submit it to my agent, or if I'm recording an audiobook, what have you, if there's a consonant that just explodes on, it's just like, bah! I actually have a file on my computer with all these consonant sounds, excuse me, that are smaller. So if I say, like I had a bite to eat, and the T's are too much, I'll grab the little T and I'll edit it in. So it's, I had a bite to eat.
So you have like a sound library of your own consonants that if you hate it, you just drop it in.
Yeah, and sometimes it doesn't work, and then I'll just have to go in and redo it. I'm like, fine.
I'll crossfade it in. We'll fix it. So if say someone was wanting to get started in voice acting, what are those steps for like, you know, starting voice acting kind of thing? What should they do?
Couple things. So D. Bradley Baker, who is a phenomenal voice actor, has a fantastic website that is dedicated to this, and it's the easiest thing to remember. It's iwanttobeavoiceactor.com, and he has a wealth of information. The other thing is really like wanting to learn anything is take classes, not just with VO, but a big thing that is helpful is, you know, acting classes. A lot of people forget that it's voice acting. So it's not just being able to create things, it's being able to create a full character without being able to see your face. You know, there's a lot of actors, film actors, who are incredible, and I watch them and they're magnificent. But if you take this away and it's just their voice, the performance isn't necessarily as strong.
Yeah.
And you know, you have people who are the opposite. They can't act with their face.
They're actors made for radio. They have a face made for radio. Or voice acting.
Voice acting, yeah. And another thing is improv classes, which I was very reticent to do because I was very much of the I hate improv camp. Don't make me do that. I want to know exactly who I'm playing. I want the character. I want the full world, and I want the other people. And I fortunately fell in love with it. Took classes at Second City specifically because I wanted to get better at voiceover. Every clinic that I take, you know, to just stay sharp, I will hear the same things from every casting director for voiceover, and it is take more acting classes, take more improv. Those are two big things that are always done.
Where could someone even take acting and improv classes in LA? That's crazy. There's no places to... I'm being sarcastic, everybody. I'm obviously being sarcastic. So many places.
I will recommend Second City.
They're really good.
I'm a Second City grad, and I love them. And one thing that because I have really bad performance anxiety sometimes. So it's not nearly as debilitating now, but when I was in high school, like I would audition for a show and I might be on the stage getting ready to sing and the piano would go and nothing would come out. Even improv class as an adult, like hang on, I'm 32. I had to think about this. I
Hold on, do math.
hold on. Even as recently as a couple of years ago, when I started studying at Second City, I would be in an improv class with people who I trusted. I knew they had my back, and I would shut down. I would just shut down from anxiety. And so, if anyone here is interested in improv, Second City has a brilliant class that is improv specifically for social anxiety.
Ooh,
Which
I didn't know they had that.
I don't think yeah, it's brilliant, and it's not available to me because I'm too old. But it's designed for teens, and I think it's.
The Second City, they're up in North Hollywood, right? Or
yeah, they're in NoHo.
Okay.
Yeah, they're in Hollywood. They're like, they're near the Pantages, ish. It's like on the same street. But they're one of the only. Sorry, I'm derailing for a second. They're one of the only improv companies that have stayed alive during this.
Yeah, I mean, there's it is tough for performing arts groups, but at least Second City has like this. They have like a very broad and deep mission and organization. So it's been really nice to see them kind of weather the storm, as it were.
Yeah.
I guess also just kind of like, what were your favorite projects to work on?
Ooh.
What was like your favorite?
I'm going to steal this from a friend of mine who said this once because I thought it was brilliant. My favorite role is the next one I'm booking.
Boo.
But no. I think, I mean, it's hard to choose because it's like, it becomes like it's choosing your kids sort of thing. But some that mean a lot to me were Mira, who was in World of Warcraft in Legion, that expansion, because she was a character who I learned was written for me, which was an absolute delight. I had done a character named Addie Fizzlebog, who's a tiny gnome, and the woman who created her name is Julia. She's utterly brilliant. She wrote a character and a whole little quest line about this tiny little fox person named Mira. And I learned that I was cast as Mira, and I went into the booth and I said, okay, shall we discover this voice together? And the director, I have people in my ears from the company. I have the quest designer in my ears from the company on my headphones, and the director. And the response was, well, no, this is for you. This is you. So just be you. And I said, okay. And I would be remiss if I didn't say Flayn was someone that I loved dearly because she was really the first major role that I had where it was multiple hours of recording and finding many different layers to this person who presents as a child but is actually thousands of years old. And recently I loved playing the character Monica on Agretsuko on Netflix because Monaco is the opposite of me. I got to show myself and others that I can be, tougher. I can have more grit to me rather than just this tiny little sweet thing all the time. And so that was really fun. And it's also nice having played her to know that is someone who lived in me, this person who had that strength. And so there are times when I just kind of, if I need her, I'm like, you know what? She exists in me. So I'm just going to draw a little bit of her strength for whatever situation. Cause she doesn't, she's cool.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, I feel like it's been interesting over the years because we've known each other now for a bit, for a while. And it was definitely like, oh, Diva's doing a little more voice acting. Oh, she's doing a lot more voice acting. Oh, she's like getting all these people following her for, you know, this character
weird.
or this character. Like, I remember when the Hearthstone one came out,
Yeah.
like, it was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, you know, she's in a game that, like, I play all the time. And then, like, you know, you got the Flame, like, her name is Flame, right? The one from Fire Emblem?
Yeah.
Like, and that one was just, like...
That was... I
Those
remember...
bananas.
It was... So I learned that I could announce her because you... one thing is when you record something, you can't share with anybody until it's out. And even if it's out, sometimes the company will say, hang on, we're going to announce it later. But I got the okay from Nintendo while I was in Scotland. I was in a little bed and breakfast. And then it was like 6 p.m. or something. I said, okay, well, I grabbed my husband, like, you know what? You're better at Twitter than me. Help me make something cute. So I did a thing, and then I had to turn off my notifications because it was just like, bing, ba-bing, ba-bing, ba-bing. It was, I didn't understand it.
That's amazing.
It was cool. It was weird.
Well, we have a couple of great questions in the chat.
Yeah. And also, I apologize if any of my answers have been circular or rambly-y.
That's fine. They're in my class. They're used to those kind of answers. I can't get to the point. I think one of the ones that it seems like is really popular is where do you look for jobs? How do you like get to the place? Like, where are the places, I guess?
So, I get most of my auditions through my agent. And
you just go scrolling through Craigslist, right?
Scrolling through Craigslist, scrolling through, what was another one? Fiverr has VO stuff. But actually,
don't do Craigslist, everybody. Don't.
No,
that was a joke. No. Fiverr, you could do if you want.
And then
that's a bit of a grind, though.
Yeah. But this is actually how I started. Just getting familiar with voiceover and getting familiar with the microphone I was just on Twitter, Instagram, anything. Is I would follow people who did tiny indie things, so like small indie developers or people who, because I played a lot of World of Warcraft myself, people who make what's called machinima, which is taking the video game and making small movies with it, with the characters.
That was like Red and Blue back in the day.
Yep.
Stuff.
Yeah. So I would do a couple of those, right? And it was all about just learning. It was all learning because, you know, I was going to make a sports metaphor, but I don't sport. So if you were wanting to be a singer, you know, you join a choir, but you're not going to immediately audition for the most prestigious choir where they expect you to be able to read sheet music and they're going to say, okay, you're on, you know, the second part of this harmony and da 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 da. You need to, you know, it's
got to pay your dues. You got to build it up.
So I did that, and then still something I do, even though I have an agent, is I am also looking myself and trying to find work or things that keep me busy. And so for audiobooks, one of the places that I first went to is called ACX. It is the Audiobook Creation Exchange that's done through Audible. And that was kind of that's very much like a freelancer, do it yourself. But yeah, and also, and I'm going to keep saying this, is I've also gotten work by taking classes, because I hate the term networking because it feels so phony. So I look at it as I want to meet people in classes who I want to support and who will support me, right? Yeah. It's again looking at people not as your competition, but looking at them as family, as this group of people who want to create stuff. And so, you know, I've taken a class, become really good friends with people, and down the road, maybe 6 months, maybe a couple years, they'll say, hey, I just referred you for this job.
And honestly, like, that I think is something that not a lot of actors learn early enough in their careers, is the fact that, like, you do need to build those, I wouldn't say networks. I try to say, like, build those relationships, because
It is, yeah.
it's like a rising tide raises all boats. Like, being on, whether I'm auditioning for a show or if I'm casting a show, you know, typically I'm going to find people in my network, people that we know, people that can vouch for somebody else, because they've seen your work and they can vouch and say, oh, this is, this is a high quality person that'll help you out. Or, hey, this project's coming up and it didn't quite fit me, but I think it would be perfect for you. Honestly, like, I haven't looked at call sheets for years, and I don't do a lot of acting, but when I did, there, you start out and you do those cold calls, but then after that you kind of build that network up, and your friends tell you, oh, you should go audition for this show, or oh, there's this thing that we're looking at doing. And that's kind of where it starts to feel like a lot more like, oh, I have my tribe of people that I can connect with, and really building those relationships.
And on just to piggyback off of that, and this is going to sound kind of corny, being a good person will help you. It will, because we live in a smaller world than we think. So if I, when I did Little Women, when I did Little Women, with you, if I was terrible to work with, which I really hope I wasn't because we're still friends, but if I was just awful to the people around me, and if I didn't if I wasn't focused on my script, if I wasn't studying anything, there's a chance that other people would ask before hiring me for something, and the answer would be, that diva, she's just kind of a little ne'er-do-well rapscallion. And
it happens a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I have very little experience in the Southern California community, but I don't know. I've been around in a few theaters, and there are some actors that you encounter, and you see them in a show, and you see how they behave, and you're like, this ain't gonna ever happen again for you.
It's a thing. It's a thing, and especially we're living in a digital era.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Being
difficult gets around a lot faster.
Yeah. And it's also like how to be a good human 101.
Yeah.
Just be kind. Be kind. It'll take you far, not only in your career, but in life.
Olivia has a question here. When you go into an audition, are you prepared to show your range, capability, portfolio? I guess, is it like a live audition, or do you send in material? Do you have a singular voice?
That's a
Are you
really
like,
good question.
Here's like 5 options for this character? Like, what kind of stuff do you do for that? What is an audition?
That's a really good question. So it is the far opposite from a stage audition. You go to a theater, you bring your headshot, you bring your resume, you bring your 30 bars, you bring your monologue, you bring your dance shoes, you bring your jazz shoes, you bring your tap shoe, all the shoes. Clearly. For a voiceover audition, sometimes you would be called into a studio where you would go into a booth and do an audition. I did that for Flame. I was called in, and I went in and did it. And other times you do it at home. 100% of my auditions currently are at home. And even before that, I would probably do 90% at home. So you're given a piece of it. I'm going to say copy, which is a script. It's just considered copy for, I don't know why, that's just what it is. So you're given that, and then you're given a window of when you have to submit the audition by. So for example, the one I did this morning before I came here, I got it yesterday, and it said, we need this by 3 p.m. today. So I said,
oh my gosh,
okay.
That's a quick turnaround.
It's most are, 24, 48 hours. They're pretty quick. They're pretty quick. Some things, if it's animation, this was for a video game. If it's animation, the window tends to be a little longer, but I've gotten auditions that's, it'll get into my email inbox and it'll say, rush, due at 2 p.m. And I look at my watch. I'm not wearing one. I look at the time and it's 1. I'm like, okay, I need to do this now. So you most often just want to do one take which means one read of all the lines. Sometimes you can offer a second one, if especially if the breakdown says, you can do 2 takes, and so you'll do 2 different things with the copy that you're given, and then you send it. And there is no immediate feedback. Like if you're if you're at a stage audition, you're gonna get a sense of how you did from the vibe in the room. You might be able to talk to people. You might get an email later with a callback. But for voiceover auditions, you will likely only hear if you got the job. And that could be a couple weeks from then. It could be a couple months. So it's very much a record, listen to it. Okay, that's not terrible. and then
off into the
send it
world.
off and letting it go.
Yeah.
Like one of the biggest, a really big help that I actually had recently is I reached out to a friend of mine and I said, I am getting so worked up with auditions because I'm listening to them and I'm getting in my head and I'm wanting to be good, but I'm listening to myself with these lines. I'm like, you know what? This is just terrible. But I really want this job. This character seems perfect for me. And his response was, this is going to sound weird, Diva, but you need to want the character less. just care less. Do the job, but try not to think about it. Just be present in that moment and then let it go. Because once you've recorded something, once you've auditioned for something, it's out of your hands.
Yeah.
So it doesn't do to dwell on that, which is hard.
Yeah. No, that's really good advice. That's really good advice. Like, we're always thinking, oh, this is going to be my one shot. And it's like, don't worry about that.
No,
worry about the next shot and the next shot and the next shot. Just keep on going.
The weird thing is I was more upset in like middle school or high school when I didn't get the role in a show than I am now if I really want a role in a game, or if I see a character and I really want it but I don't get it, because I think I have a better understanding of, just because I don't get something right now doesn't mean that my whole career is ended.
Yeah.
Just because you don't get one role doesn't mean that you are never going to act again. there will be others for sure.
Well, we have one last question and we'll wrap up, because
Yeah.
we've been going for a while. I'm loving this. This is very fun, but we could also just like talk forever. But let's see. So Bryce was asking, I've heard that to be able to get into voice acting, the hardest and most important thing to do is to get your foot in the door. And I wanted to ask if you agree, or maybe you think differently.
That the hardest part of acting is getting your foot in the door?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that whole breaking in, right? Or feeling like you're carving your own little niche. I do think that's a struggle. But what I will say is it is a perpetual struggle. It's continuous. Even though I myself have done, X number of roles, and with the Screen Actors Guild now, and that I have, a really good agent now, and all of these things, there's always a sense that you haven't quite made it, or that you haven't done enough, or that maybe you're not all the way through the door. And so that's something that doesn't quite go away, that I think is important to understand, that there's no, it's saying, well, if I get this, then everything's going to be great, or I'll be golden if I do this. So yeah, it is getting your feet in, but also understanding that you may always feel like you're still pushing. Did that answer that at all?
No, I think it did. I think it's that idea of also building. There's like a bit of inertia also, I feel like, when you're auditioning for things, and then like when you do finally like land a role, it's definitely like success kind of begets success. Like once you have like a
Yeah.
good project that you can, put into your demo reel, and it's that same thing of building connections. So like you've done this project with people and, they then think of you for certain things, and it kind of snowballs on itself when you get through that door.
It was fascinating to see this because recently, like a couple months ago, I was invited to just watch a couple people speak. A casting director who I really admire, and he said he was going to be speaking with Sean Astin, also known as Samwise Gamgee, also known as
Sam.
the dude whose name I'm forgetting from Stranger Things.
Stranger Things, which
Anywho,
also
and Goonies.
And Goonies, and his character in Stranger Things, I learned about this the other day on TikTok. He makes a passing reference to being haunted by a clown in Maine, which would have been when he was a kid, which means that he's actually, Stranger Things takes place in the Pennywise universe.
What?
Yeah. I just saw that the other day on TikTok, and I was like,
That's cool.
That's really cool. Bob.
So-
Someone said Bob is the person we're thinking of from
Bob.
Stranger
Yeah.
Things.
Oh gosh, I love him. So I'm in this seminar thingy where I'm just watching these two people speak, and me looking at Sean Astin like this guy is on the top of his game. He's amazing. He's never
We
going to
love
need to
him.
worry about work, right? I
Yeah.
adore you. And he got really real, and he said it was only after Stranger Things that he said, I felt like I was probably not going to have trouble finding work in the future.
Oh my gosh.
Not after Lord of the Rings. Not after. So again, it's like I've heard it referred to as actor brain, but really, it's that anxiety thing. It's the whole when am I going to be good enough? Blah, da, 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 da.
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome
At every
It's
level.
huge. But I fully believe if you want to succeed and you want it for the right reasons, not that you want to be famous or sign stuff or whatever, but because you genuinely want to bring joy to people with art, then I think that you will go somewhere. And it may not be where you thought you were going to go. Like I thought I was going to do film.
Yeah.
I'm not doing film. Yeah.
Not doing film yet. You could. Who
it's a journey
knows?
and it's fun.
Who knows?
I could, I'll tell you my film plan.
Oh.
I want to do film when I am like a little old lady, and I want
Okay.
to play all of the mom. I want to be like the Mrs. Weasleys and like the Kitty Formans. I want to do all of that. That is what I want.
Perfect.
The Dowager Countesses.
You're doing your time. You'll wait and you'll swoop in and get all
I'll
those
swoop
50+
in.
roles.
Yeah, but we like,
Oh, hello. Yes, child.
Well, speaking of voices, I actually didn't talk to you about this, but I think
what?
this would be kind of fun.
Okay, sure.
So I'm going to show you a image,
oh, okay.
and I want you to make a voice for this character.
Okay.
Um,
What do you want me to say? Does anyone want to put like a sentence in, and I can just say the sentence as that person,
well,
or you can just improv as them, I guess.
yeah.
Okay.
So this is our school mascot, Sammy the Saint. His name is Sammy the Saint.
So
And-
he's got okay.
So if you were like, say you were, let's give you a scenario. What would be a scenario for Sammy the Saint to talk about things, guys? Write in the chat. What should be the situation for Sammy the
And
Saint?
I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing right now as I'm thinking about what he sounds like. Is I'm looking at. He has a really big smile, right? He's a big mouth. I'm looking at the way his body is because I think that says something about him, and I'm seeing how big his eyes are. So he looks kind of like Buzz Lightyear.
Oh my god, a
Doesn't
little
he?
bit.
His face, the face shape.
Okay, so Sammy the Saint is getting us to go on a
Got it.
spaceship.
He's got a helmet.
Sammy the Saint is getting us to go on a spaceship. So what
Okay.
would Sammy the Saint say? You can just improv and you can be like, forget it.
No, I know. I've got a couple different. Let me think. Okay, so I'm probably like what,
Like I'm in my might be in my early 20s, but I'm a woman. I'm doing this voice. So you know what? Yo, I'm Sammy, and I got a big mouth, and I got my helmet on, and we're gonna go into space. I think that's where we were going, but I don't know. And if I was to do a second take, I think maybe I would also have a big mouth, but I might be British because I'm a saint and I'm a knight, and why not? I've got the cap. Do you see my hat? It is called a visor. I believe.
That was beautiful. Everyone give it up. Give it up for Diva. Thank you so much for playing.
Thank you.
That was amazing. So there we go, everyone. That is Sammy the Saint by Deva Marie. Well, if anyone wants to keep in touch with you, is there anything you got going on, or they could keep in touch, or I don't know, they can follow if you want, or
so I a couple things. Can I type it in the chat?
Sure, you have access to that. Yeah.
So thank you all. You guys are boosting my confidence. Thank you. Getting like a little bump for the day. I feel good. So on Instagram and Twitter, I'm at diva_Marie. I will share projects. I keep it really chill. That's just my whole thing is I want to put good out there because I think we need it. So expect lots of animals pictures from me. I share bits about voiceover. I amplify other people. If there's auditions that I see that aren't right for me, I'll also share them. I love interacting with people and just, hanging. Another thing that I do on most Sundays with a group of friends, and if you wanted to, I think I may have messaged you about this at one time, you and your wife. I'm doing something called Brunch with the Bard, which is it's me, and most are voice actors, but there's other people who they do stunts, or maybe they do film, or maybe we have one person who's a lawyer. Oh. And it's brilliant, and it's just really good. And we will find a script in the public domain, which means we don't have to pay money for it. And we will do it on the spot. We will cold read the script. And it's really fun. We've done a lot of classic stuff. We recently did Great Gatsby, which I had to read in high school. I don't know if y'all have to read it or not.
I love that book. I love it
but
so
we did
much.
Did it recently. It is so much different reading it from reading it as a book to reading it as a play.
Really?
Yeah, because like...
Does somebody play the green light at the end of the dock?
Yes. But also, you read the book and you're getting it from this kind of perspective of being detached almost. With Nick, it's almost this detached looking at it, and just jumping in and reading this script, these characters become that more real, and you're like, Tom Buchanan, I don't like you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hold on, they want to take a picture for the yearbook, so we're...
Oh yeah.
So we'll take our yearbook pose. 3, 2, and... All right, I got one from my end. Olivia, did you get it, or do you want me to smile again? Everyone, if you want to turn on your cameras and say hi to Diva while we're wrapping up here.
Hello.
Let's see. Olivia, can you go into gallery view, or do you need me to... We're waiting for more cameras.
Camera.
What is it?
Camera.
From 30 Rock?
Yeah.
Every time.
Camera.
I sang a song for the film, the song for the film.
You guys should be able to turn on your cameras.
That's a tongue twister I've actually pulled from 30 Rock, as I will say rural juror.
The rural juror.
Rural juror.
All right, who's saying you can't start your video?
The host has stopped the cameras. That's what it says.
I did originally, but you can do it now. Okay, who else is whining? I'm just going to go through and I'm going to ask y'all to start your videos. Ask to start. Ask to start. Excuse me, ask to start. Ask to start.
Or
I can't lose
if
that
you're
K.
recording it, you say ask to start. See what I did there?
Whoa. We need to put that in the swear jar.
What? Ask to start?
Ask
Ask
to
ask,
start.
Ask to start.
Okay. Oh my God. I'm almost there, everybody. Thank you for being patient. I'm so sorry. You don't have to turn it on, folks, but you can if you want. Also,
Jonah Edward, are you in Minecraft? I'm looking at the background.
He's our Twitch stream extraordinaire.
Yes!
Don't you do that, Jonah, right? Am I wrong? All right, well, while we're here at the very end, let's take a nice big old yearbook screenshot, everybody. So everybody smile and say, voice acting. 1, 2, 3.
Voice acting!
Ay, ay, ay. Did we get it, Olivia? I got one too for you.
Can I also just like applaud all of you for being in school right now? Like, honestly, getting out of bed is a feat of strength this year, and to just be here and be present, I think is amazing. So thank you all.
Amen to that. Well, thank you for hanging out with us, Diva.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
We'll just kind of hang out. You guys can head off into the wilderness. Thank you for stopping by. Follow her at Diva_Marie if you guys want to keep up on her projects. Otherwise, take care, and I'll see you kiddos later. And Diva, just kind of hang out for a second so I can close up shop. All right? So goodbye, everybody.